afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. I am just really pleased with the conversation we're about to have. We are going to have a conversation about selling, and in particular, it's about mental fitness. And there were several things that really attract me to this topic. All of us do sales. Some of us do more than others. Some are more effective than others, but certainly one of the things that's so critically important is what's happening in our brain. You know, what happens when we're successful, what happens when we fail, and how does that impact us going forward? One of the most impressive people I've met in my lifetime is going to be one of our speakers today, Connie Kadinsky. She, I think I met her maybe a dozen years, maybe more ago. And one of the things that she pioneered was sales call reluctance. The concept that many of us can relate to, right? Of why don't you want to make that call? What's the fear that's behind that? So fearless selling, and she's been a pioneer in that. So when she came to me about mental fitness, I was already receptive to her brilliance around sales. And then when she started to explain it to me, it was like, wow, this is really impressive. I want to know more about this. And the more I found out about it, the more I've been impressed. So we have three really dynamic, extraordinarily talented sales leaders speaking with us today. And we're going to go for a journey. And I hope you keep your mind open so that your mind at the end of this probably will be a little bit more fit, and I think you're going to be really interested in what you're about to hear. So Dr. Carey, I think you're going to kick us off. Why don't you give us the next steps? We're going to kind of rock and roll and have you explain this in all sorts of ways, and we're really looking forward to it. Thank you, all three ladies, for bringing us on this journey today.
Thank you so much, Doug. We're excited to be here, and welcome to everybody listening. Please, if you want to put in the chat box where you're zooming in from today, we'd love to just celebrate the diversity of the global chamber around the world. We are in an amazing time. Never before, I repeat, never before have we known this much about how the human brain works. In today's Globinar, we'll address the science of our brains and how it relates to sales performance and stress reduction. And if you thought that was an oxymoron, we're here to show you, no, you can have it all. Before we dive in, I have a question for you. How focused on this Globinar do you intend to be today? One would be, I'm white noise. You've got all your screens open. You've got two phones going. Your door is open. There's a million things happening. And 7 would be you're laser focused. You're dialed in. There's no right or wrong. Just ask yourself, what is your intention for this Globinar today? Does anybody have a number? You want to pop it into the chat box and share? All right, just as I thought, numbers can be everywhere, and I love the high numbers. Good for you. But 2 things, I'm going to ask you to just think of 2 things that you can do right now quickly to make sure that you're able to give the focus and concentration that you have just stated was your intention. Terrific. So now we'll turn to the agenda. So today we have an hour together, and it's going to be in 2 chunks. 30 minutes will be us giving you some information, and please be aware, we're going to be asking you to participate, to do some exercises, to have an experience, and to communicate with us through the chat. The next 30 minutes will be for Q&A, questions and answers. We'll start out with Doug, and then we'll go through the chats and make sure that we have everybody's questions attended to. All right. So the first part of our agenda is, what is mental fitness? Then we're going to help you understand what could be sabotaging your sales. We'll move on to explaining how mental fitness is a universal operating system that knows no borders. We'll then take you through an introduction to a program to help you gain a little bit more muscle with us today, and then moving on to a larger offering. And last but not least, the Q&A that I mentioned. So let me go into the content of this presentation. So mental fitness, what is it? So if you're physically fit, you would expect that you could walk up a hill without being breathless. So what it means to be mentally fit is that you can take on life's challenges and realities without being exhausted by negative emotion. So how does this impact you? So what I'd like you to do now is take a pen and paper and choose at least one of these 3 areas of impact that you think can be most helpful to you now and in the immediate future. So one of the areas of impact is you would like to have an awareness of what's been holding you back from reaching your peak sales performance. A second area of impact is to learn how to motivate yourself positively. And third area of impact is that you'd like to take away from this session a tool that can help you reach your peak performance and reduce the inevitable stresses that come with sales. So take a minute now and please write down at least one of these areas. That's the reason you're here today. And I want you to hold us accountable to help you in that area right now in the next 30 minutes. And if you have any questions or you feel that we haven't quite reached what you need for that area of accountability, that's exactly why we have the Q&A. So please jot down questions as they come to your mind, and we're happy to answer them. The other is I'm going to challenge you to hold yourself accountable. So as you hear content, I'd like you to translate it to clients and potential and situations that are either coming or you're currently dealing with. And how can this content link to that and be helpful to you? So now I'm going to turn things over to Connie Kadansky. Oh, I forgot, I get to talk about a little bit more. Sorry. Let me tell you about the research behind this. So the research of positive intelligence. So we keep saying the words mental fitness. So mental fitness is the how, the actions that you take to have positive intelligence. And it comes from 4 areas of science. Again, I mentioned, never have we known so much about the brain. And thank you to fMRIs. So being able to scan our brain, we take a scientific hypothesis and we say, we think this is it. And then we get the evidence from the fMRI that lights up different areas of our brain to say, and now we know this is it. And that's the origins of positive intelligence. The mental fitness program is based completely on these elements, which are positive psychology, neuroscience, cognitive psychology, and performance science. So moving along, how we get to this is the results came from many participants. So we had hundreds of CEOs and their executive teams participating. We have Stanford students and their fellowship graduates participating, world-class athletes, and now over 1 million participants in 52 countries. All of that evidence has been synthesized into a book, Positive Intelligence, which naturally was a New York Times bestseller and is now translated into 20 languages. It's from this research that Connie Kadansky will now frame some more information for you. Connie.
Thank you, Carrie. And thank you, those of you who have joined us today. I love salespeople. You're the dynamos that just help me get out of bed in the morning, and love the fact that you are out there courageously moving and helping your clients achieve their goals. So changes are an important factor in increasing sales, and mental fitness is what helps you make those sustainable changes. We have mental habits that sabotage us, that keep us from achieving our peak performance. So what do I mean by that? When's the last time you had a sales call and after you got off the call, you started second guessing yourself and saying, oh, I think I messed up, or I could have done that better, the coulda, shoulda, woulda. Those are the habits that send salespeople down the self-doubt spiral. The good news is you have the capacity, yes, to tap into a higher intelligence that is the wise part of you beyond the IQ, which we call the sage, which keeps you laser focused on what you truly care about. So Malia, if you could go to the slide on the 20%, because we love to get insights that surprise and inspire us for a second. So think about it. You've been to Globinars before and read books and been on podcasts, and you got an insight that you were thrilled about. However, you didn't take any action on it. And so the 80% of mental fitness is you actually integrating action in a way that makes the sustainable change. So it's the mental fitness, that mental muscle, that so that you can respond to whatever comes to you. So as children, we develop these saboteurs so that we can survive and self-protect. So even if we grew up in the most loving household out there, we still had to develop what in our child's mind to help us survive and to get attention and to get love. And so these saboteurs are mental habits. And the limbic system of the brain is all about survival. When something comes into our experience, the human survival, we either get angry, we run away, we freeze, or we appease just to survive. And it serves us to a degree is that it informs us that we can make different decisions. That sage part of the brain, that wise part of the brain is the executive brain that thrives on creativity, caring, deep democracy. And when we're mentally fit, we use our brain holistically. So there are very smart people out there with high IQs who think that all problems can be solved logically, and they miss out on the emotion and the energy. So our saboteurs, again, are mental habits that generate the negative emotions, the stress, the anxiety, the self-doubt, avoidance, anger, all those different procrastination. And we, in the mental fitness program, teach you how to activate that higher intelligence, that wise part of you that is curious, creative, loving, and handles those challenges with a clear and calm mind and positive emotion. So think about it right now. What's a situation that you have with a prospect that you feel that you can really help them, and there's a little bit of anxiety around moving that conversation forward, moving that relationship forward? And when you think about it, you get a little bit tense in your stomach or in your body, right? And so it's informing you right there that there's something going on, and that the saboteurs will just jump in and mess with us and keep us from moving into a different part of our brain that gets us curious around the situation. So we all have those prospects that are moving along and we're feeling good, and they go cyber silent. Wow, what's the first thing that saboteur does? It says, you messed up, you did something wrong, you were offensive, you didn't pay attention to this. And that saboteur just throws us down that self-doubt spiral. And then when we're mentally fit, we have the capacity to stop that saboteur behavior in its tracks and to guide and activate the part of our brain that is going to move us into innovation, exploring, so that we can handle that much differently. And that is where we motivate ourselves through the positive emotions. So Dr. Vance Caesar did some massive work here, and he, in his doctoral research, was going to research high achievers. At the end of his research, he found that 92% of high achievers were not happy. And he said, I can't stop there. So he said, I'm going to go find out, what is it about these 8% of high achievers that are happy and gratified and enjoy their process? And what he found out is the 8% of happy high achievers were mentally fit, that whatever came into their being, they didn't go into criticism and blame and anxiety and stress. They saw it for what it was, and they had that capacity to empathize with themselves and say, you know what? I did the best I could with everything I had. And then they were able to go forth and clearly solve their challenges. And that's what mental fitness will do for you. So how many times do you get that sale and you're so happy? You're only happy for a little bit, and then you move on to the next one, and you never really enjoy what you do. When you're mentally fit, you will. So let's just look at this. So this is oversimplified, admittedly. However, it is very clear and very provable. So we have an event as salespeople, and most salespeople, we have a lot of different prospects moving along in our system all day long, right? And so we have an event that is challenging for us. The cyber silent, somebody who just asks for a discount. Oh, how do you feel when they start asking you for a discount? So let's just take that emotional event as asking for a discount. And you've already given them all you've got. So what is that emotion that is triggered when they ask for that discount? And when you really look at the neuroscience of mental fitness, that in that moment, when you're mentally fit, instead of going down the saboteur side of the neural pathway in your brain, where you start getting frustrated and angry and feeling despair and hopeless, being mentally fit, you can actually pause. You just merely take a deep breath. You experience it for 2 seconds that you are being in negative emotion. So are negative emotions useful? Absolutely, for 2 seconds. And when you develop mental fitness, you get the message, and then you're able to pause and choose to create a different pathway. So see, we get into habitual habits, mental habits, to be cranky and to go into victim of circumstances. This COVID has affected my rapport building. I can't build rapport like I normally do. I used to travel and I could shake hands with somebody, and now I can't. And so we start going into the negative. Wow, what good is that? The more we go there, guess what? In our brain, we develop those neural pathways that are like a 5-lane highway. And so we automatically habitual, the minute something goes south, we go south. So with the mental fitness, there's a way to pause and choose. That is where you build your mental muscle. So you pause and you choose, and you start building a 5-lane highway of sage or wise, higher level of intelligence, where you get curious about it. You go into exploration. And so that is entirely possible. So the goal that we have for you is that not only do you celebrate your success in sales, but you enjoy the process. And that is true mental fitness. So with that said, I'm going to invite you into an experiment with me. So what does it mean to build mental muscle? So what we call is a PQ rep. So you know, how many of you have already been to the gym today and you were building your physical muscles? So with this PQ muscle, it's an experiment. And just to think about that current sales dynamic that is causing you anxiety, insecurity, or discomfort. And I want to do this right. So yes, I am reading a little bit here. So a PQ rep is 10 seconds of focused attention on one physical sensation. And we're going to use the touch sensation today. So just simply rub 2 of your fingers together with 100% of your attention on this activity. You are choosing in the moment to pause. You're out of that saboteur negative behavior, and you're taking yourself out of that negative habitual behavior that throws you into negativity and the self-doubt spiral. So it's 100%, 10 seconds where you actually pause and consider. And in that moment with mental fitness, you have a choice. You have a choice to have empathy for yourself in this moment. You have a choice to explore the factors that are making this challenge. So do you see where I'm saying that you have a choice to pause and consider? And this, don't minimize this. You might think, that's silly. That's not going to do anything. Neuroscience has proven, absolutely proven this. And that is what teaches you. And that's what builds your mental muscle. And so with that said, I am delighted to introduce to you Malia Monaco, who is the Enterprise Account Director at Positive Intelligence. And she's going to explain actually further of how do you build that mental muscle so you can go forth and be successful and enjoy your sales success.
Well, thank you, Connie, and I'm happy to be here. And I can geek out on this for hours. I have a master's in mental health, and when I came across Positive Intelligence, it just lit me up because the way, like Connie was saying, these little activities that we talk about build our mental muscle, but it also does other things. It calms our system down. It activates our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest system. There's so many things that happen within our body by doing something so simple as this. So what I want to share with you is what we call mental fitness as the universal operating system. So we call it the universal operating system because when we're born, we have the same hardware. We call it the hardware, our brain, right? We all are born with the brain. Typically, you know, there are things that change within the brain, but typically we all have the same hardware out of the box, which comes with a really archaic operating system that has been created over millennia that is about survival. You know, it's about keeping us alive in the wilderness. It's about keeping us safe. It's very hyper vigilant. It's where the saboteurs live. And if we don't keep an eye on this, if we don't upgrade our operating system and use tools that we're talking about, we're going to be stuck in this old part of the brain, this old operating system. Well, we want to upgrade it, right? We want to upgrade our operating system. We need to be able to do that. We strengthen with mental fitness. And there's 3 things that happen. We intercept our saboteurs, as Connie highlighted. We strengthen the sage part of the brain. And then we gain control through our self-command muscle. So we are, if we're scanning our brain while we're doing this, if you're hijacked, if your saboteurs are running the show and we're in our old operating system, certain parts of the brain are going to be lit up. When we shift, when we use mental fitness and we do the activities, this is just one example. We have a fitness gym I'll talk about in a second, where there's other examples. And when we do that, literally our brain goes to a different, our activity goes to a different part of the brain, and we shift and we activate a different part of the brain. So it's coming from a completely different operating system. We see the world differently, we interact differently, we see ourselves differently. We're in a better state to be able to make a better connection with our prospects and be able to make that sale with ease and flow. It's one of our terminologies. So we have it in ease and flow without being the tense stress activity that we go through. We also say it's a universal operating system because it's a way that we can all get on the same page. So right now we're all kind of working on different operating systems. Somebody might be in a Linux system, and somebody might be in, our operating system is an XP or a 7, right? It's their analogy we use. We want to be able to get everyone on the same page. And by doing that, we do it through mental fitness and the program we're going to be talking about, so that we're all on the same page. And when we do that, everything runs better. Any application we do is going to run better. When we have a better operating system, we're going to have better sales performance. We're going to have better communication, relationships, leadership. When I did mental fitness, when I did it for being a better mom, and that was what was important to me. And then I realized, wow, this is really making, my relationship with my husband better. Wow, this is really improving my sales performance. Wow, this is really improving my career. It's a kind of cascade effect, because everything that you're running on is going to operate better, as well as any other training techniques, anything else that you've done in the past or will do in the future. When you have a better operating system, everything's going to be more efficient and be able to run better and have greater results with less stress. And to do this, we have a gym, right? Just as physical fitness, we go to the gym to work our physical muscles. Well, we also have a gym in our app, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute. But we have a gym that is as little as 2 minutes, and there's all different kinds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 12 minutes, as well as some others activities. And it is a way to just activate the system and be able to upgrade your operating system in as little as 2 minutes. And we also have a one-of-a-kind program. So this is amazing because it takes the technology plus life coaching, and we're able to combine the two. It's really amazing. And it's a 7-week program. These are some screenshots of some examples of what you get in the technical side and the technology side. So we have a focus of the day, and Shirzad will be walking you through focus of the day to get you started in the morning. They're about 2 to 3 minutes each. So it's in total increments, about 15 minutes total throughout the day, but 2 to 3 minutes just power breaks. We use kind of the NASCAR analogy, right? NASCAR, when they're driving through and they're in the most important race of their life, they take a pit stop so that they can recover, they can recharge, they can get back in the game. If they don't do that, it's inevitable they're going to crash and burn. Same with our system. So there's a little charge battery up here. I love this one because I can see through the day, if my batteries on my charge starts to get low, I feel it. I can already know that my battery is getting low. I need to recharge it because I'm not performing as well, or I'm feeling a little stressed, or I didn't recover as much from that sales call. So this is really cool because it's so interactive, it's so unique to you, and it combines technology. Well, there's 1 hour modules, and they're broken down. And so I'm a busy mom. When I did the program, I was able to plug my earbuds in, cook dinner, listen to the modules, take a break, and come back. And so it's not just you have to sit for 1 hour chunks. They're broken down so it's all digestible and easily accessible. You get the chapters of the book on audio, but what's really important is it's not just this wonderful technology, it's also combined with group coaching and live group coaching with Carrie and Connie. There's a 500% increase in results when you're combining a program with live group coaching, because it increases your success rate because of accountability, building trust, and implementing the program. So here are a few brands that trust us. I think you might recognize a few. And what I'd like to do now is I would like to transfer it over back to to Carrie. And Carrie, let's talk about the program and how possibly your brand could start to be on our board here.
All right, thank you very much, Malia. So what I would like to tell you is we'll go back to the
Yep, I think
previous
too many
slide.
times. 1 sec, yeah. Bring it right back.
All right, good. So I've been watching the chat. So please, if there's any questions that are coming to mind, in just a few minutes, we'll turn over to the Q&A. So if you want to put your questions in the chat box, and we'll be ready to go with that, that would be super. So we have an opportunity and an offer for you. So the 7-week program, we can bring to the Global Chamber. We're so excited to be here, and thank Doug for his support of us and belief in us. As an individual member, we can give you a certain price, and then all of those people who are non-members, who are either here today or part of your networking circle that you would like to bring into this mental fitness program, we offer them a special price as well. And we will give back to the Global Chamber a donation from their participation in the program. For those of you who are keen, and I know you are out there, please, if you can already put yourself together in a group of 6, we would love to gift back a complimentary enrollment. I'm thinking membership, but an enrollment for the program, whether you gift it to somebody or whether you share back over the group of you is whatever your choice is. Now, if you're not part of this Globinar and not part of our program, you can access this program through Positive Intelligence, but that comes to you at a significantly higher price point of just under $1,000 US. So again, we're very honored to be welcomed into your community and wanted to show our appreciation back to you. So how do you register? So the first thing that you would do is either use this QR code here that you see on the screen, or we have a link to a landing page, exceptionalsales.com/global chamber. And that allows you to see some summary of today's presentation. It also gives you a chance to sign up for the program. So how do you sign up? It's just a click link for you, and we'll collect a very modest amount of information so that we can invoice you back. You'll receive an email from us. So when do you start? So if you would like to finish this program in 2021, so you are all set to sail for 2022, please register by next Thursday, November the 11th. And we will be beginning the program on Saturday, November the 13th. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, that is just too fast for me, I'll let you in on a little secret. It's not that fast. All that it means for preparation from you is 1, go to the QR code, click on the link so we can give you that invoice for payment. 2, we're going to then be triggered to send you a link to the app for your device, which literally takes 2 seconds to download. And then 3, sometime over the first weekend of the 13th and 14th, you will watch a 1-hour video that's going to be conveniently downloaded onto your device. All right, so it's easy to start into the program. Is the program easy? I don't know, are sit-ups easy? At first they have a little bit of pain to them, but after you get into a rhythm, you start seeing some development of muscle and you start feeling good. The app is very interactive and very motivating. So if you have a thought to do it, go ahead. And I'm going to say, if you tell me that you don't have time to do it, I'm going to challenge you. Is that an old habitual habit that protects you from something new? I don't have time. Or are you ready to step into the opportunity to explore and innovate and activate yourself to the sales level that you have always dreamed about? So now we're ready to come into the, and we do have weekly start dates available. So yes, the first session starts on the 13th, but every Saturday after, you can sign up for a different November start or a different December start. We're going to help you with all of that. Just let us know you're interested and we go from there. So now I'm going to take us over to the chat. Hopefully, you have done what I had asked at the beginning of the presentation. You wrote down what it is that you wanted to get from this Globinar, and you've held yourself accountable. And now we're here with you to be accountable to answer any questions that are going to further your knowledge. I'll start with Doug. And Doug, will you kick us off with the first question, please? And I'll give them to Malia and Connie to answer.
Okay, no, that sounds good. So I think all of us are working to get our brain, no pun intended, around all of this. I think to understand kind of the basic idea. I have a couple questions. One is just for clarity and maybe understanding. There was a lot of conversation about pausing, and when you went through that, I was thinking those that build their bodies, right? You work very hard and then you take a pause, and I've heard that muscles actually build more when you take that relaxation time and that downtime. Is that the kind of the basic idea? Because that pause, called pause and choose, it sounds like there's that piece of it potentially happening in terms of building muscles, but also pausing can be very successful in terms of stopping us so that we maybe realize that we're doing something like we've always done it wrong, and now we need to shift. So could you maybe explain pause a little bit deeper?
Thanks, Doug. I'll bring this to Malia to answer, please.
Okay, happy to. So yes, it is. First, it's the awareness factor. So it's breaking up where the automatic. So we saw the dendrites and the neurons that were being triggered by an event. So right now there's kind of an automatic channel that's been going on, because that's just the habitual behavior we've been doing with an event, and we go directly to this part of the brain. When we pause, we allow that space, even for a split second, to be able to then shift to that neural network. And that strengthens the muscle, because the more we do that, then those neural networks will start to develop stronger muscles, just like we were talking about. And like you said, Doug, it gives that opportunity to develop that stronger muscle, so that it's a more automatic process versus the old habitual way that goes into our saboteur part of the brain. And it's, if you would watch one of Sir Zod's presentations, he equates it to having a hand on a hot stove. And Connie touched on it a little bit. Negative emotions are there for a reason. It's an indicator, right? But we don't want to keep our hand on the hot stove. We want to just take it off. So that's what it does. So if we're starting to feel the anxiety, stress, any negative emotion that's coming up, or physical sensation that's coming out, or maybe we're reacting with anger or frustration towards someone or towards ourselves, that's our indicator to pause. And that's when we can choose to be able to metaphorically take our hand off the hot stove, possibly hop in a quick 10-second PQ rep, because it physically will change our brain to be able to then activate the other part in the sage. Did I answer your question?
That's a great question, Doug. I'm going to also ask Connie. Connie, will you do you have anything to add to that, or shall we take the next question?
Well, I think that Malia did an exceptionally good job. And even to take it a little bit further, is biochemically, it has been proven that whatever we're experiencing, our hypothalamus is secreting hormones to match that thought. So if I'm having a stress reaction from an event, cortisol is flooding through my body and stimulating the fear center in my brain. So when you really look at the neuroscience of this, it takes a look at the entire system here. And so cortisol is a stress hormone. And one thing that I always tease my clients with is cortisol makes us insatiably hungry. And so that is a part of the stress that it affects here. And so just to know that when we're in that wise, higher intelligent part of our brain, our hypothalamus is secreting completely different combination of hormones. It's secreting oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and those those actually shut down the fear center in the brain. So I took it a little bit more extensive, but I always feel that very convincing because it's really activating a completely different biochemical part of our body also.
Great. I'll just add a little bit about the pause. So the beauty of positive intelligence is we for decades have heard people say, practice yoga, practice mindfulness. These are wonderful things for the brain. And we absolutely agree with that 100%. But the reality is you're sitting in front of a client, you're in a Zoom meeting or you're in person, and something happens and that meeting is going in a direction that is causing you great anxiety. You don't get to bust into a downward dog, or it's really hard to all of a sudden lay back and turn on some calming music and get yourself into a meditative state. And until now, with positive intelligence, we thought we kind of had to do those elements to get ourselves to calm back and recalibrate. So with positive intelligence, we keep saying a 10-second rep, and there's a reason for that. It's literally, it has been proven that within 10 seconds, you can catch yourself in that pause and make a different choice. Stephen Covey was onto it a long time ago, before we even came forward with positive intelligence. And one of the favorite lines I've heard from Stephen Covey is, between stimulus and response, there's a pause. And it's during that pause that you choose your happiness. My God, if that doesn't send tingles down your spine, I don't know what will. And we've heard from so many clients, doctors, dentists, CEOs, multitasking parent, stressed out staff workers saying that, you know, I have been so committed to my career and making my targets. And I do. I'm a super high achiever. But guess what? I feel like a wreck when I get home. I am not doing any of the things that I would like to do outside of my work. My work just consumes me, and I feel that it's impacting my health. This is a chance to have it all. This is a chance to positively impact your health, physically and the mental, and then also achieve your targets. I'm like, we're giving you like the kid in a candy store. We're trying to give it to you all here. I'll pause and go on to the next question. I'm looking in the chat box, and please, if somebody has a question for us, love for you to pop it in. And if not, Doug, do you have another question?
Oh, I have many questions.
Yay, here we go. Doug, please.
Yeah. So I first of all, I love that stimulus to response and the gap, the pause. You know, one of the things we've talked about in intercultural is, particularly Americans, we don't like pauses in conversations, right? We are very uncomfortable, and yet Asians, you know, are very fine with just sitting back and living in the quiet. And so it's an interesting concept that you're bringing there. I think it potentially makes Asians better salespeople by, you know, being able to live in that pause. I'm wondering, and here's the question: what would the indicators be that someone needs this? And why I ask that is that I think in general, the worst salespeople that I see probably have been doing the same thing over and over again, and the results aren't good, but they don't know why. But how would they know that this is something that they would need, and convince themselves that this is something that's going to help me break whatever is broken with me? Are there certain things that they would see in their activities that would say, gee, maybe this is something for me?
Connie, why don't I start with you this time for the answer, and then we'll follow up with Malia. That's an excellent question, Doug. Thanks.
Well, the first thing they do is they look in their bank account. How much money is there? So that's an indicator. And then the second one is to look into your appointment calendar. How many appointments with new prospects do you have? And how many proposals are in your pipeline? So that's the number 1, 2, 3. How's that?
That's very simple and easy. I love that.
Malia,
Don't
will you take it over to then how will positive intelligence, mental fitness, signing up for that, make the connection to these alarms that Connie's described?
Right. Well, what comes to mind for me is the old saying, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. Right. And so it is a self-awareness factor to be able to, like Connie said, look at the indicators, look at how things are not working or not performing, but also just dropping into yourself, how am I not bouncing back from a stressful call? Am I going home at night just exhausted, or am I snapping at my kids? Or, what are those things that are the kind of the secondary aspects of all that stress that's building up, all that tension, all the things that are going on because those goals aren't being met. And those are other indicators that it's time to take a pause and to shift. And this is such a safe space and such a, great way to be able to do it. I mean, the way that Shirzad presents, and Shirzad is the founder of Positive Intelligence, just to fill you in, and the writer of the book. And so, and he delivers the modules. And the way he does it is in such just a wonderful way, because it's very motivating. It's focused, it's simple, and it's applicable. So it's just kind of meeting everyone where they're at and taking them to the next level and upgrading their operating system along the way.
What I'll add to this part of the question and conversation, Doug, is this comes back to the 20-80% slide that Connie introduced us to. So we've all taken courses, read books, we listen to podcasts, we do a lot of stuff to fill ourselves up with knowledge. Salespeople in particular are fantastic about assimilating different tools, techniques, but the challenge is we get it all. It's all in a notebook somewhere. We remember it for 2 or 3 weeks or months if we're lucky. And then all of a sudden we start sliding back to our old habits.
Yeah.
And if you've ever noticed, when you're put under pressure, that we slide back immediately to old habits because it's fight or flight. So the challenge is, how do we get to a place where we can take on new knowledge? The latest and greatest way to sell, let's say, sell globally, right? So we're not here telling you the latest and greatest way to sell globally. There is a program out there that does that specifically and gives you the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s. Although I'd add on the side, Connie Kadansky probably can add and help you in that specific area. But notwithstanding that, is what we're offering you is the rest of the 80% that makes it stick. So what we're giving you is the tool, the ability to look at past programs you've taken and styles, present programs and styles that you're taking, and anything that comes up in as the latest and greatest in the future. And we're saying, okay, all of those are great and fine. What we're giving you is the universal operating system, the foundation. We've all heard that analogy that says, if you build a beautiful house on top of a really shipshod foundation, it's going to tip. It doesn't matter how much you spend on the pretty up top. You've got to have the foundation. And the foundation is usually the part that you don't see, you don't pay attention to. Well, that's your mental fitness. Nobody's seeing inside my brain. Nobody's paying attention to that part. But if I don't have that, I can't make the right reactions. And why is this more super important in sales? Is because of something called mirror neurons. Again, a scientific, we are in the place where we know more about the brain than ever before. So if I come into a meeting and I am feeling negative in any way, guess what? My customer across the table is going to pick up on it and start to be pulled down to my level of negativity. It's a proven fact. So if I come into this meeting with a positive mindset, and it sounds all foo-foo, but we're telling you, and in the 7 weeks, we're going to practice on a daily basis how to get to that positive mindset in 10 seconds or less. that is contagious to the person across the table from us. We all of a sudden are able to look at a problem, a challenge, and we're able to explore, how can we get closer together? How can we fix this problem? We're able to be innovative. We're able to come up with our client with ideas that we hadn't even had when we walked into the room with them. Then we're able to look at, all right, how can we implement this? And we're also supercharged because we're not tired, bogged down, stressed out, frustrated. We're supercharged to take action. So Doug, if I don't know anywhere else where you can get that secret sauce inside your mind that is going to be universal across every single part of your life, mental fitness does it. And it's proven scientifically. You have another question for us? I'll check the chat.
I do. And yeah, because I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay.
The kind of my final question, and we've got about 5 minutes left. So if anybody does have a question, please please ask it. And if you don't have a chance today to ask your question, send it to info@globalchamber.org, or just connect up with any of us and feel free to ask your question. We'll take it offline. First, on the pause concept, the last word, at least from my head, is that I really love the way you talked about pause, and it made me think of the pause that when you're in the sales process, the actual, like when things are happening, to take the pause, but the second one is at a macro level. All of us are living a life and having a career. I also take the pause concept to mean pause what you're doing in macro, at a macro level, to kind of reconfigure things. And both of those pauses sound like they're very important. The final question I had was, could you maybe explain this to someone like me, who I heard the 7 weeks, I heard that there's an app involved, I've heard that there's brain changes and understandings, and the pause certainly. Could you kind of map out what does this really mean? Because when I heard the concept of you need to take the time, well, okay, well, what are we actually talking about here in terms of, you've talked about the financial investment, but what's the time investment, and what kind of changes would we expect in the 7 weeks? And then I guess probably maybe as a conclusion part, what's going to happen in week 8? That is not happening today.
Thank you for that question. Malia, will you start us off, and then I'll follow with Connie, please?
Well, my wheels are turning in so many different directions. So Connie, do you want to take it? Because you'll be facilitating the program.
So the 7-week program, can we chunk it out for Doug?
So
Yes.
Well,
Well, so the program is a mental journey that you get to experience on a daily basis for 7 weeks. And every morning you have a different focus. So it really comes down to, what is it that you really want? So you come into this program saying, I want more peace. I want more success. I want to generate a $1 million account, right? So you come in with goals, and as facilitators, Carrie and I hold those goals high, and we keep you integrated to those goals. And then you get to take a look at what you're doing that is sabotaging. So the first 3 weeks are in your face, basically. The program holds up a mirror, and you look in the mirror and you go, ah. And so confrontive, provocative, yes, we hold you the space as you go through it. Then in week 4, you're going to learn a concept that will change your world if you adopt it. You're going to learn the sage perspective. And then week 5, 6, and 7, you learn the powers that were within you and how to activate those. So you learn how important empathy is for yourself and others. You learn how to explore the challenges from a clear mind. You learn how to innovate. You learn how to navigate what you're going through in a positive way versus a negative. And you learn to activate. And then the app is yours for a whole year. So you on the app, you see how much mental muscle you're building. You start out at 0. By week 7, it's going to be at 400 if you do the work. At 400 on an MRI, your gray matter will actually show up as changing because you're starting to develop those neural pathways that are automatically going to come in. So then we work with you and we have different programs. We call it the Grow. And we keep our clients close and we check in with you. So that, and here's the deal. We have a orthopedic surgeon that trains residences, and he's at a children's hospital, and he meets a new patient every 15 minutes. By golly, he's doing the work.
Let me tell you what the work is, because I know we're going to run out of time, right?
He is following the program.
Yeah.
He is building his mental muscle. He is doing his daily focus. He is doing the 3 coach challenges every day. And he came into the program feeling really negative about something. And boy, oh boy, he is turning it around because he wants to enjoy his career and be at peace. So we have examples galore. And I have examples of salespeople. I call it transformation on steroids. So this program is for people that are ready to really take a look and become mentally fit. And I can tell you, we'll hold the space as you go through it.
Malia, I know we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
But will you quickly walk through the specifics of the program so people have a sense of how much time each day or week they need to spend?
Yes, that'd be great. And that's what I was thinking. So Connie, thank you so much for the overview and the detail on that. So it's chunked down to 15 minutes a day. But as Connie said, it's integrated into your day. The orthopedic surgeon is doing that. And what we do is we try to figure out what works best for you. So I work with surgeons, we work with the Navy, we work with different, very busy, intense individuals. And we want to integrate the actual PQ rep to, okay, the surgeon walks in the room, sanitizes and washes his hands. That's a way to just drop in for the moment, do a PQ rep, move on. And for me, when I'm in my Zoom calls, I use my pen. I just take a minute just to keep connected to my pen. And so we figure out ways to be able to integrate. So it's not an additional 15 minutes a day, it's integrating it into your day and what you're doing. The 1 hour for the modules to learn and go deeper will be released on the weekend for you to be able to watch. And they're chunked out in 2 minutes, 5-minute chunks. So you can listen on your earbuds like I did when I was cooking dinner, be with the kids or whatever you need to do in between, come back and come back to that. And then there's live sessions and the weekly live sessions. Carrie, you want to talk about the weekly live sessions? And this is an important piece as well.
We promised Doug that we would be done top of the hour.
Okay, we're good. So the weekly session is a group coaching session with me or with Connie that is focused on what is the event for the week based on the video. What are you going to practice in the week? And how does it relate to your personal goal? It's always meant to tie back to why did you sign up for the program? I'll stop there because we want to make top of the hour. Doug, how did we do? Did we hit the right time?
We did hit the right time, but I'd like to go just over it by a couple minutes by asking that one question about what does the person look like at week 8, right? Like they've graduated. What's changed? What will they notice that's different, or will they notice? Will they just be living kind of a new life?
What is going to happen is this person, think of the analogy of the hand on the hot stove. So this person is now someone who touches the hot stove and gets the message quickly, versus the person who had to keep their hand on the hot stove torturously until all of a sudden they're thinking, oh gosh, I am not being creative. I'm not being collaborative. I have to switch into my other energy system. And God bless the person who doesn't take the program, because they didn't even know they can switch into a different energy system. They spend all their time fight, flight. They're the person in the hallway with their hair on fire, running around saying, I'm super, super busy. And they're not meeting their goals. Or if they are, they're at a super high price to their health or their family or their colleagues.
And
So-
also, thank you, Carrie. And Doug, from my perspective, I work with salespeople. They're prospecting more with confidence, consistency, comfortability, and they are responding differently. And their sage is pulling people into sage versus having two saboteurs, prospect, salesperson, two saboteurs having a conversation. And so in the sales arena, it's measurable. And the goal is that you're in front of more prospects, that you're selling more effectively, that you are opening more relationships and closing more sales. So that's one of the easiest one to prove.
Measure.
Yeah, to measure.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that's great. And that's really what we want to see for sure. We are at the end of the program. Thank you, ladies, for just some great information and for answering my questions. I feel a lot more knowledgeable now, and I think our audience does as well. We've been listening to Connie Kadansky. She's the president of Exceptional Sales Performance. Dr. Carrie Thompson. She's the managing director of Simpler Transitions. And Malia Monaco. She's the enterprise account director for Positive Intelligence. All three of these women can help you in terms of reaching out. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
We'll come back to the slide. Can we, Malia, quickly with the QR code for, and if anybody has a question, please feel free to jot down this number. In Canada, 416-898-9238. That's my personal cell phone, and I would be happy to answer your question. Here's the QR code, and our landing page for signing up is called Exceptional Sales.
I put it in the chat.
Okay, exceptionalsales.com/global chamber, for those of you who are just listening.
And you can also connect with all of us on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then what we're going to do is we are going to write a blog post that has this information, including those links. And so we'll make it as easy for you. We probably won't publish anybody's cell phone number, but we do need to get a hold of folks with emails, and we'll be able to supply that. So I think we all feel a lot smarter and better today. So thank you for what you've shared. Clearly, it's a program that looks like it's had significant impact. And so for those of you out there, please do find out more about it, and hopefully it can help you. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Global Chamber.
Yes, thank you.
Bye to the Global Chamber.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Too.